every white person in this room and for others.
In this country, we think that the only Americans are the ones who live in the contiguous 48 states of the United States. Americans are everybody from the very north tip of Canada to the very southern tip of South America. But we, in our arrogance, say that we are the only Americans. If you're really going to keep this America to Americans, we don't dare build a wall on the southern border of the United States, because those people, those brown-skinned people that are going to come across that border are Americans.
Hello brothers and sisters, I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from. Now, I'm sure this speech is going to piss off most of people who are very racist. Now, it is going to actually piss off also most of the white community, because Jane Elliott is here to say the truth, and she's calling out her own community for all the atrocities they have caused to the black community. Now, she is also reminding them that the trauma the black people have right now in the US has been caused by them, and they should never at one point point fingers at the black people complaining about all the things they are now witnessing. So let's watch this video, then have a really quick discussion at the end of it. Thank you so much.
Reason that white people were not portrayed as thugs in our white media, and the reason in which riot police were not targeting and responding to these groups as if they are a threat to society, is because in colonial North America, when white people were first invented as a group of humanity, there was an alliance created that linked law enforcement with the presumption and with the privileges associated with whiteness. For example, we know that one of the very first laws passed to assert whiteness on these European laborers was a law that made it illegal for black people to testify against white people. And in that very first law, it's a great example of this connect made that linked law enforcement from its founding to white supremacy. And so we can, because we have never unpacked this history, because we have never, because we continue to fail to shed light on white supremacy in all its everyday forms, we continue to see white people being seen in these most positive of ways. And so that translates in how white people are treated by law enforcement, how we are described by the news media, etc.
Jane Elliott, for 52 years now, 52 years ago, you after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, you produced an exercise that literally has gone around the world and back and has changed the world and perceptions of this world. Speak to us about, in our first interview, which was a radio show interview, actually, about 3 or 4 years ago, you talked about colorism versus white privilege. Can you speak to this concept of white privilege?
Yeah, because this concept of white privilege has only been around for about 500 years. You need to realize that before 500 years ago, and before Linnaeus started categorizing people, humans, the way he categorized plants, we didn't have the problem of differences of color, because it was just simply taken for granted. There were differences in human beings. In about 500 years ago, because they needed a new way to decide who they were going to kill or enslave, they decided, instead of working on religion, because you couldn't always tell what religion a person was, they set on skin color. That short a time ago. This hasn't been, people will say, well, it's always been this way. No, it hasn't. There have always been people of many different colors, all of whom are descendants of those first black females who originated in sub-Saharan Africa about, they think now, 500,000 years ago. You see, the white people are only white because they moved, people of color moved, black people moved farther and farther from the equator, and as they moved farther from the equator, their skin got lighter and lighter because their bodies produced less and less melanin. It wasn't until the colonial period that we decided that white people should be declared superior in this country and in the UK. It was a lie then, and it's a lie now. We are all members of the same race. You and I, the three of us, are all cousins. Every person on the face of the earth is a 30th to 50th cousin of every other person on the face of the earth. So We should be talking about colorism instead of racism because there's only one race. And if, as in Peggy McIntosh's list of white privileges, I can stand up and give my opinion without being criticized because of my race, since there's only one race, that should be true for every human being. But as long as you think that the skin color makes you better or worse than somebody else, you are ignorant. And it is my job as an educator to lead people out of that ignorance. If I don't accomplish anything else in the rest of my life, I am going to accomplish teaching people that there's only one race, we're all members of it, and what hurts you hurts me. Because you're one of my cousins, and I will not tolerate having one of my cousins of another color abused because of some other person's, human beings, ignorance about color, about skin color, which is what it's all about. There's only one race. Now, not everybody agrees with that, and do I care? No.
No, you don't. No, absolutely not. Dr. Batalora, please respond.
Well, what is there to respond to? You are brilliant. You articulate it so concisely, so clearly, and it is the truth. The truth. Over 99% of the human genome has been identified. There's no gene for these things we call races. Race doesn't exist because
race is not biological.
That's it, and the whole concept of race, as applied to humans, it's inappropriate. We are humanity.
We aren't flowers. We aren't plants. We aren't. And people who think, well, you can't. We must be different races. We different species. Well, let me put it this way: you can't cross a cat and a dog and get a dad or a cog. They're two different species. They cannot reproduce with one another. You can mate a person of one color group with a person of another color group and get a beautiful child out of that mating. That means we are all members of the same species. Get over it. It's time for us to look around and realize, for instance, about 3 weeks ago, my ex-daughter-in-law got her DNA, and she did that thing to find out who she is. She thought that she was probably mostly of the Nordic strain. She found out that most of her genetic structure comes from Ireland, England, and 1.6% Nigeria. I laughed loudly. I thought, how wonderful. Didn't you know? Did you not know that in every one of our DNA is a memory of those first black women's DNA? Because that's the way it is. There are people in this country who will shoot themselves at the thought that they are actually part black. Well, that's the way it is. Get used to it. It's a wonderful thing to know that.
Probably, I don't want to be facetious, but we're probably hoping that they would eliminate this thing.
What?
So the people who might shoot themselves if they found out they were part black, that might be a good thing. I'm not saying that might be necessarily a bad thing.
No. You can't educate a dead person.
Right.
But can they? I mean, okay. Let me push back on this.
That's why it doesn't work to try to educate Donald Trump.
Let me push back on this, Jane. And I appreciate this, and because in some ways this is preaching to the choir. But there are some people. Look at and I don't want to. I have to go there because it's my show. A lot of the people who voted for Trump, those are probably the people who, if they found out that their ancestry began in Africa, they would probably kill themselves as well. I don't know what that would do to the economics and the population of America, but what do you do for people who just absolutely unequically cannot be educated because there's this genetic memory of and socialization of hate for pigmented people?
You show them love. You show them Jane Elliott. You show them people who look like them, but who see the world radically differently and who are capable of manifesting love for all of humanity. Look, when Jane and I walk into classrooms, we can open doors. We can't force people through them. We can open them. And even for all of those people that seem to be uneducatable, I don't believe that, because even seeing a model of someone who perceives the world and behaves in the world in a way radically different from their own mindset, that is an education for those people. And it may not transform them in that instant, in that moment, but even in my own life, I remember some things from my first year of college that, and I can even give you a concrete example. So I remember this professor in college, it must have been a psychology class, but she was speaking about being present. I kid you not, Jane Elliott and Philippe Matthews, I had no frickin' clue what being present meant. I really didn't. But I have reflected back on that later on in life as I was able to know what being present in the world is. So we are, even when I have my most frustrating days in a classroom or with an audience, I know that I have presented them, even though I didn't see them changing in this moment. I know they've seen something different. And it may not manifest today, but it may manifest tomorrow.
Jane Elliott.
I do things that people can't walk away from. I tell them the next time you come up to a traffic signal, the stoplight, and it's red and you have to stop, and there's a big truck beside you, and the trucker's with the motor, because he's in a hurry, he's on schedule, and you look up at him and smile. He thinks you're smiling at him because you think he's cute. He doesn't realize that you're saying to yourself, Sonny, right now, your life and what you do is being dictated by the invention of a black man. Now, when you tell that to people, to college students, they just howl, because they know that when the bicycles, when the Harley Davidson boys come up and they're sitting there wanting to go, and that invention of a black man is telling them whether they can stop or not. And then I say to them, now, here, let's do this. Everybody take off your shoes. Now, put your right shoe on your left foot. Put your left shoe on your right foot. Now, try to take 3 steps. How do you like me now? The last for sewing shoes together mechanically so that you could have a right and a left shoe was invented by a black man. Every time you put your army boots on in the morning, or your motorcycle boots, or your high heels, those 5-inch heels that you have trouble staggering around on, you are enjoying what was produced for you by a black man, Jan Ernst Matzeliger. People go, oh, and I say, now, everybody take a deep breath, and everybody, because now they're afraid of me, so they take a deep breath. 600 people at a time. Perception is everything. White people look vicious and ugly and non-caring and cruel and arrogant and powerful and condescending and angry. Are you angry?
No.
Oh, good for you. Are you angry?
Trying not to.
Trying not to be. Now, does that take a lot of energy?
Yes.
Yes. Are you holding it in?
Yes.
Yes. And are you trying really, really hard not to react to me?
Yes.
Yes. And are you trying really hard not to look at me?
At the moment, yes.
Yes. Why?
Because I don't want to make myself more upset.
You don't want to make yourself more upset by looking at me.
Yes.
Right. Does that take a lot of time, a lot of energy?
Yes.
Yes. Is that hard for you?
Yes.
Could you develop an ulcer over this?
No.
If you had to do it every day, what would happen to your blood pressure?
It would rise.
Yeah. If somebody stood over you and you knew it was going to happen every day, or you expected it to happen every day, or it happened when you didn't expect it to, or it happened to your kids every day, after it happened to your mother every day. Now, getting right along, your hand is still up. You still didn't learn anything, did you? Didn't I just say when your hand is up, you are thinking of what you're going to say instead of what's being said? Didn't I just say that?
Yes, you did.
And did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
And did you decide that you were just going to do it your way?
I was.
Wait a minute, you're on a roll
Yes,
there for
I
a minute.
did.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
I did.
Now, since you choose to not listen to others, what do you suppose we're going to do where you're concerned?
No, listen to me.
Thank you very much.
May I finish what I was saying,
No,
please?
because you're still thinking of what you're going to say instead of what I'm saying. Now, getting right along.
I heard what you were
Well,
saying.
you're doing it
I
again.
understand what you were
You're
saying.
doing it again.
I don't care.
You're doing it
because
again.
It's wrong.
You're
And you
doing it again.
Persecuted her for standing
You're
out.
doing it again.
Persecuted him for standing out. The only change that ever happens is when people stand out, and I have to stand back too.
Martin Luther King Jr. was shot. Are you in any physical danger here? Are you in any physical danger here? Is that girl in any physical danger here? Emmett Till was hanged by his neck after he was beaten almost to death, simply because he made a statement to a white woman. Every time I do the exercise, there is a point at which I know I have made the point. And we could stop there, but you have to nail it down. And so it goes on longer than some people think it should, but you have to nail it down. People at this institution...
You've made your point, you're right.
Yeah, thank you very much. What is my point that I've made?
That you can't make generalizations about any place because there's racism everywhere.
That's right. And while it may be... No. You don't come back in here until you've apologized to every person in this room, because you just exercised a freedom that none of these people of color have. When these people of color get tired of racism, they can't just walk out, because there's no place in this country where they aren't going to be exposed to racism. They can't even stay in their own homes and not be exposed to racism if they turn on the television. But you, as a white female, when you get tired of being judged and treated unfairly on the basis of your eye color, you can walk out that door. And you know it won't happen out there. You exercised a freedom they don't have. If you're going to be in here, you're going to apologize to every black person in this room. And do it now.
I'm
And the
sorry.
Latinos, every person of color.
There's racism in this country.
Bullshit! No, you're not going to say, I'm sorry there's racism. You're going to apologize for what you just did.
I will not apologize because it is
Out.
not a matter of race always.
Out! Out! Now, is she choosing to leave? Yes. She could apologize and stay.
I won't play the wrong game anymore.
Knowledge or their permission. It was experiential education. It was giving a child an experience for the purpose of changing their brain. And that's exactly what it does every time I do it.
Now, you conducted the same study, I'm sorry, not study, exercise with adults.
Oh yeah.
And is it any different between the children and the adults?
Adults get more violent. I've been hit several times by white males, angry white males. I've had a knife pulled on me. They ran me out of Uniontown, Pennsylvania at midnight one night, 3 carloads of blacks did, to get me out of town because the teachers that I put through the exercise in a very limited way were so angry that they called the superintendent in the afternoon and said, if you don't get that bitch out of town, we're going to kill her. So they got me out of town. First time I've been scared. And the last time I've been scared. Because I found out that day that they could kill me, but they couldn't kill the idea. Victor Hugo said, no force on earth can stop an idea whose time has come. The idea of one race, the human race, is an idea whose time has come. We are not going to be able to stop it no matter what they do. They can elect Trump after Trump after Trump, and that will not stop the idea that there's only one race on the face of the earth. It's the human race, and we are all members of it. You and I are cousins. Now, if you don't like being my cousin, that's too bad for you. But we are all in the same family. We are members of the family of man.
You say that all whites are racist. Can you expound on that, please?
Any white person who was born, raised, and schooled in the United States of America, if you aren't a racist, you're a miracle. Either that or you decided to educate yourself. Because education in this country is about white is right, brown's all right, black's got to stand back. Yellow's mellow, but whites, we educate in a way that says that white males have done all the adventures, have made all the adventures, have done all the discovering, have made everything that is good and has been accomplished according to social studies, which is actually anti-social studies, by white males. It's a lie. But we do that in order to maintain the myth of white superiority. The myth of race has to be maintained at all costs in this country. Because if white people have to give up the color of their skin as being something that makes them perfect, what do they have left? If we start teaching the truth about history, if we start teaching about Nile Valley contributions to civilization, it will totally change the way we conduct ourselves in the classroom. It will have to. Columbus didn't discover America. You can't discover a place where people are already living. But we celebrate that every October. It's a lie. We need to get over. We need to stop telling the myths and start telling the truth.
So when you tell people that they're racist, and it must have some kind of effect, because most people will say, I'm not racist.
I'm not a racist. Why, some of my best friends are black.
Right.
Yeah, and then you say, name one. Or this one, I don't see color. And when some woman says to me, I don't see color, I say, I knew that. If you saw color, you wouldn't dye your hair that way. Or I say, if you saw color, you wouldn't wear that shirt with those pants. I believe that you don't see color. It's an attempt to deny skin color. And it's an attempt to deny what's wrong with seeing the color of my skin. Is it all right for you to see me kind of pink? That's okay for me. I don't mind. And I suspect that you don't mind being seen the color you are. You have a right to be what you are. And until people in this country and people in this world get it into their heads that the first modern human beings that evolved on this earth were black women. They evolved in sub-Saharan Africa about 280,000 years ago, and every human being on the face of the earth today has the memory of those black women's genetic structure in their genes. Now, we don't want to admit that, but that's the way it is. And as people moved farther and farther from the equator, their bodies produced less and less melanin, so their hair, their skin, and their eyes got lighter. As they moved into the east, they ate a lot of fish and a lot of vegetables, so their skin took on a different tone. I found that out when I was raising little kids. My husband worked in a supermarket. He was the head of the produce department. And they had lots of oranges that they couldn't sell, so he'd bring them home. And I was feeding my kids orange juice like you never saw in your life. They began to have an orange cast to their skin. I thought they had a liver problem. So I took him to the doctor, and she said, what are you feeding these kids? I said, well, lots of orange juice. She said, stop it if you want them to stop being orange. Now, if you think that skin color isn't anything other than the body's natural reaction to the natural environment,
Hello, brothers and sisters. I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from now. Jane Elliott is one of the most known scholars who has been talking about the topic of racism. He has been calling out our own race for whatever atrocities they have committed to the black community for a very long time. It also must be remembered that he has been educating the black community on the importance of uniting and being very strong together rather than being divided by the same systems that have always oppressed and divided them further. Now, Jane Elliott has been speaking about divisions between the white and the black community. And here she has been blaming her community for everything that has happened in the US that is collapsing the whole country and collapsing everyone. Now, let's not forget the fact that this is one of the most truthful white ladies that you'll ever see. She has been talking all these things regardless of her color. She's not black. In fact, she's white and talking about things that really matter to the black community. Now, Jane Elliott has been calling out the white America and the white systems to acknowledge the presence of the black community. And she has been saying that the black community really needs to come together and unite. And the only way they can do this is first by realizing that all this racism that has been played along is something that has been installed in the systems. And for them to come together and start working together, they must realize that their unity of purpose is very, very important. And the fact that they have never united, this is the time they should unite. Now, she has been talking about race as a social construct to everything that we see today. Now, she has strongly argued out that race is a myth, not rooted in biology, but created to justify power and privilege. Now, she emphasizes that all human beings are members of the same race, and that race is human race. Now, she goes ahead to say that the skin color is merely as a result of evolutionary adaptation. I think the term evolutionary adaptation means that the climate, the geographical location where you are really matters. That you evolve, your skin evolves with the time according to where you are staying or where you live. Now, brothers and sisters, we are the same people, the black community, that has really been talking about unity. But the question is, are we really ready to unite? Or are we still living in the denial that someone else will come to save us, that we will have another Martin Luther King moment, and someone just from the blues will come and save you all? Jane Elliott has always been reminding you, me, and everyone else that we need to come together regardless of whatever is happening in the US or in the world. She has been a very good educator and anti-racism activist who has been going around talking to everyone, talking to the black and the white community at the same time about the importance of unity, about the importance of racial acceptance, that you do not have to segregate your brother or your sister just because of their color. You don't need really to do that. That we still can be people of different colors, but we all still human beings. That whatever really matters the most is the fact that you are breathing. I carry the same blood as you, not the physical appearance of a person, but whatever the embodiment of the composition of their bodies is whatever matters the most. Now, I do agree with her most times when she says that racism is a learned behavior, that no one is born racist, but the environment that people grow in, the environment itself makes people to adapt to segregating people just because of their color. Now, Jane Elliott has been emphasizing that racism is not an innate, it is taught. Her blue eye stalk, brown eyes exercise was designed to show how quickly people can be conditioned to adapt to racist attitudes based on arbitrary traits like eye color. Now, this parallel shows how society teaches people to discriminate based on skin color. You have to be carefully taught to be a racist. You are not born a bigot. That's her quote. Now, brothers and sisters, I do agree with her that no one is born discriminating people because of their color. People are born and brought up in environments where they are taught, this is white, this is black. This white is good, this black is bad. And if you ever want to make friends with type A and not type B. And when children grow up with those kind of teachings and attitudes, now they become really racist. And for this one reason, this is why we are having a bad generation. Sometimes I do say that my generation is a generation that has been taught about racism a lot. And our parents were also taught about the same thing. But I'm very, very glad at the same time that we are the same generation that are breaking this, that we are accepting our brothers and sisters despite their basis of color, religion, culture, and everything else. We need to come together as the people. Let's not live as animals live in the jungles. That we need to acknowledge our flaws, we need to acknowledge our strength, and we need to acknowledge that other people are also having their weaknesses and their strengths. Now, she also says that the environment you grow in matters a lot if you are going to be a racist or not. I do agree with this point, because if you grow in an environment where you are taught to respect others, if you grow being taught that every other person has equal rights and they matter also, then you will grow up with a lot of respect, with a lot of acknowledgement of race, instead of seeing people as white and blue, as red, as black, you will see people as one, as humans. You won't see a black face, but you'll see a fellow human being, or a fellow sister, or a fellow brother. Now, she has also been addressing white privilege, and she says that most of the white people do not accept that they have, in fact, as a matter of fact, been benefiting from privileges that they do not deserve. Now, she has been consistently highlighting on the existence and impact of white privilege. Now, she insists that most white people in America must come to terms with the unearned advantages they have in society simply because of their skin color. Now, she actually quoted this: if you are white and you do not understand white privilege, now you are part of the problem. Most of the people who receive these privileges, or the supremacists, actually they always live in denial that they are living on privileges. Most of them get jobs, most of them go to schools, most of them are in spaces that they do not earn, unearned advantages, just because of their color. They have these spaces, they have these jobs, they go to these good schools and all that. But when you tell them, they feel like that's not truth. The truth is they are living, some of them are living on unearned advantages, just like Jane Elliott says, who is one of them. Empathy through experience is one of the things that Jane Elliott has been talking about for quite some time. And by flipping social norms in our classroom, treating blue-eyed students as inferior, Elliott exposed how easily people in positions of power can dehumanize others. She believes the only way for people to understand oppression is to experience it, even in simulated form. Very true. Do you know most of the people who say that they do not have empathy, these are the people who have not been in situations that need empathy. These are people who have experienced good lives and earned advantages for a very long time. So when they hear someone talking about a very painful story, they are always shocked, and they do not want to show empathy because they believe that that cannot happen. They live in a world full of illusions. They are very delusional, in fact, let me use that word. And just because they have never experienced it, they believe that cannot happen. They dismiss all the claims, all the evidences that such a thing happened. Now, she has also been saying that systematic racism is a national crisis which needs to be addressed ASAP. That most of the people do not want to acknowledge racism as a national crisis because they are they're the pioneers of the same thing. So they feel like there is no need for you to keep on talking about the same thing because they are the one doing it. In fact, she actually has been saying that most of the white Americans do not accept the fact that racism is a crisis because most of them maybe have found themselves in situations where they are the pioneers of racism. Thank you so much for having taken your time to watch this video. I really appreciate. This is a video to educate you on the things that are very important and to teach you humanly manners and behaviors on how to live with your brothers and sisters despite of their colors. Disclaimer to this video that this video is not in any way supporting divisions of color or separation or diversity due to color. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.